Reputation Services for having us, and Liquid Death Communications representative. I am Charles McNellis, and we are the legendary consultants with FSRS. And now, I'd like to introduce you to our legendary team.
I'm Osama Abu Daud.
Connor Kanoff.
I'm Ryan Kirk.
I'm Sabrina Seca.
And I'm Tyler Soika.
Now, I was in the gas station last week, browsing for a nice, refreshing beverage, walking through the glassy aisles, and as I pass by, opening the doors, I hear this little tiny voice speaking out to me, and I look down and I see LaCroix. He says, 0 sugar, 0 calories. I'm innocent. I look over to the next one. I hear Poppy tell me, gut-friendly bacteria, prebiotics. I'm good for you. And then my eye is caught by the beautiful, striking Liquid Death can. And I listen down and I hear him say, let me murder your thirst. Now, this does sound enticing, but what does it mean to murder your thirst? And what does Liquid Death want from me? Now, in the short lifetime of Liquid Death, they've skyrocketed in profitability and popularity, reaching over $1.4 billion in sales and installation in many superstores globally. But something must not be clicking, because many consumers still choose these mature, health-focused drinks in favor of the ecosystem favoring drink. Now, our team has identified that there's a disconnect between Liquid Death's target audience and the overall brand goal that people are receiving. To further expand on this communication shortcoming, I'd like to introduce Osama.
Thank you, Charles. From our first presentation, we saw a gap between how people view Liquid Death and how Liquid Death actually wants to be perceived. Liquid Death uses bold humor, aggressive language, and very unusual visuals to stand out. For many people, that works. The brand is different, memorable, and easy to notice. But not everyone reacts the same way. Some people think the branding is creative and funny, while others think that it's confusing, extreme, or even gimmicky. This creates a challenge because a company's reputation depends on how people interpret the brand, not just what the company intends. It's also important to mention that the problem is not about the product itself. Liquid Death drinks match health and sustainability trends. The issue is more about perception and how the brand style and tone affect how people feel about the company. When different audiences see a brand in very different ways, it can harm trust and overall reputation. That's why it is important to look at which stakeholders are most influenced by this gap. Now it is Connor to tell you more about that.
Thanks, Salma. Stakeholders are at risk because of Liquid Death's sustainability claims being inauthentic. According to Bevy, critics are questioning whether Liquid Death's sustainability claims are authentic. For example, a can of water being transported across the country in a refrigerated truck generates carbon emissions regardless how recyclable the package. This weakens the brand's image and that of its stakeholders. The risk grows as the company grows. Expanding distribution increases transport, which makes environmental claims more difficult to defend. Fueler says this matters because Liquid Death's positioning depends heavily on being seen as genuinely sustainable. Research shows that Liquid Death's success relies on credibility in its environmental positioning and authentic storytelling. Stakeholders may view the brand as inauthentic or engaging in greenwashing, which reduces trust and loyalty because of the perceived gap between sustainability claims and actual environmental impact. Overall, Liquid Death relies on the authenticity of its sustainability, and its perceived inauthentic sustainability risks consumer trust, investor value, and retail partners' reputations. And next is Ryan. Ryan will explain Liquid Death's benchmark company, Olipop.
Thank you, Connor.
Olipop is a very similar competitor to Liquid Death. They are a sparkling soda drink that prioritizes healthy and beneficial ingredients, as well as claiming to be sustainable and eco-friendly for the environment. Now, Olipop has been accused of greenwashing by the public and multiple news outlets. And this is extremely damaging to a company because it creates this inauthentic relationship between the customer and the company. The customer no longer believes the company truly believes what they say, including in their mission statement, which is extremely damaging when trying to build a relationship with the customer to increase sales and the betterment of the company. Now, it is important Liquid Death avoids greenwashing because they want to be the brand that is sustainable and is eco-friendly while also being healthy. And this is the best way for them to make sure they have a space in this highly competitive market. And the greenwashing title is very hard to get rid of once it is established by the unforgiving customer. Customers do not easily go back to brands once they have decided that they have lost their trust, which is something that should be avoided at all costs. And now Sabrina will explain the credibility gap.
Thank you, Ryan. Liquid Death establishes itself as an environmentally responsible disruptor in the beverage industry, a brand that makes sustainability bold and culturally relevant. That is its intended reputation. However, some areas of its actual reputation include skepticism and confusion around its environmental impact, and the perception that the brand prioritizes entertainment over substance. The objective is not to change who Liquid Death is, but to align stakeholder perception with its intended reputation. An improved reputation would mean stakeholders consistently view Liquid Death as both culturally disruptive and environmentally credible. It would reduce skepticism, strengthen trust, and reinforce the brand's legitimacy beyond its marketing persona. Research constantly shows that perceived authenticity strengthens trust, which in turn drives loyalty. This alignment positions Liquid Death not just as clever brand, but as credible, mission-driven company with sustainable staying power. Next, we have seen that closing the credibility gap helps align reputation with intention. Next, we have Tyler with key takeaways.
Thank you, Sabrina. Our stakeholder analysis showed that Liquid Death isn't just selling water, they're selling an identity. The goal is clear, to grow the brand while pushing a sustainable message, mainly by getting the people to choose cans over plastic. Their bold branding helps them stand out in a really crowded market. The global sparkling water market is huge, but that same aggressive, edgy style can also shape mixed perceptions. Stakeholders face a growing risk because Liquid Death's sustainability image can be seen as inauthentic if the actions don't match the messaging. The Olipop comparison makes the warning real. Greenwashing brings backlash and the reality that customers are unforgiving, especially when claims feel exaggerated. So here's the bottom line. Liquid Death needs us to help close the credibility gap by focusing on the four things: recycle, protect the brand's perception, reduce risk, and avoid greenwashing by being transparent and specific. Going back to the gas station moment, LaCroix and Poppy tell you exactly why to pick them. But Liquid Death grabs your attention by the why can feel less clear. Our recommendations close that gap so the message match the mission. Thank you. Now I will open the floor for questions.
8 minutes, 50 seconds.
That's actually perfect.
Timing.
And we only give them a minute for questions.